Alright guys, so I just found a little area over here kind of behind the train tracks and sort of abandoned, not really, very industrial, but enough space for me to get familiar with this bike. And let me tell you, oh boy, is this motorcycle fun. This is worlds different than the 310R that I was riding, which was fun in its own right. I had a great time with it and got all the basics down, and it was even, I would say, in the back roads of the country in my last video, had a great time, but I just left really wanting and wasn't completely happy. But this bike delivers much more, and I'm in rain mode, which is the lowest mode that there is, and this thing still gets up and goes super fast. That being said, very smooth transmission, smooth really everything. It's not as intimidating as many of the reviewers have made it seem. I could easily see this bike getting away from somebody if you didn't have throttle control, if you didn't really know the dynamics of a motorcycle. Getting this as your first bike, a little bit of a gamble, but for me, I feel comfortable enough, and I was just doing some figure eights and taking left turns, right turns, all that good stuff, finding this sweet spot. The friction zone on this bike is much smaller than the bike that I was riding, and I've heard in reviews that it's a very finite amount of space you have to play around with, so I've worked on trying to find that. I also noticed that the clutch itself is a lot harder to pull in, probably because it's 1200 cc's as opposed to 310. So a huge difference there. I can easily see if I'm going for a couple hundred miles, my left hand is going to be exhausted. But I'll save that for a future video. The other thing I noticed, and I don't know if this is typical of many different styles of motorcycles, or if it's just of this kind of like American muscle bike, but when upshifting, you have to let this clutch out smoothly over 2-3 seconds, as opposed to on my 310R, BMW G310R, I was clutching it in and just letting it go. If you do that with this bike, it seems to jump and it kind of catches. You want to roll it in smoothly, and this is a very different bike, mind you. It's 1200 cc's, V-twin, so the whole kind of goal of this bike is a lot different than I had a single, but I would assume an inline 4. It has that down low torque, that down low power, which requires kind of a smooth roll on, as opposed to just dropping it in the next gear, dropping it up to the next gear, and zipping on your way. But all that being said, I want to show you the bike. Wonderful ride, super smooth, exciting, definitely puts a smile on your face, like all the reviews say. This is the 2022 Indian FTR 1200. I got the sports model, so I got all the fancy rain, the rain mode, the standard, the I don't know if it's called sport, but whatever the third tier is. ABS, lean sensitive ABS, and a bunch of other features that I don't really have much use for or know, but this is the bike. So just as sexy as advertised, but even sexier is the sound when it starts. It's foreign to me, and it's every time we turn it on, it's exhilarating. It's kind of scary, but here, let's give it a go. Takes a minute to boot up. Indian FTR 1200 gives you a little warning, just letting you know that you could very possibly kill yourself. Go straight. Exciting. So I'm gonna continue to ride around a little bit. Beautiful day for it. Sun's not out, overcast, so you're not overheating. I'll do a video in the future about all the little features, but there's so many people who do that anyway. I figure I better just show you some footage. A lot heavier than my BMW. The LCD, turn on, catch up. What I like about this is I'm short, but I can stand on the balls of my feet and you know, feel comfortable. So this is really, I was worried about that, the height of the bike, but it's really perfect for me. All right, here we go. I have it in standard mode. I'm gonna put it in range just so we can. There we go. Still plenty of fun.
So this is more of a first impressions and first thoughts after this was my first day of riding the FTR. I'm not going to do a full-on review just because I haven't had the bike long enough to formulate any, you know, concrete thoughts. But I did have some instant impressions from this bike, and you know, I had spent so long looking at videos and reviews of this bike. I really, you know, even before I bought my BMW G310R, this was the bike I really wanted. And I didn't get it simply for the fact that most people, you know, kind of steered me away from this particular bike because it has so much power. It's, you know, it's a unique bike too. It's a, you know, I describe it as a cross between cruiser. It has that V-twin engine, so it has that low down torque, that massive power right from the get-go, but it kind of has the positioning of a you know, a naked bike. So it's this weird kind of like hybrid, this cross. It's a flat track racer. This bike was originally designed after Indians. I believe it was like 650cc or 700cc version of this bike, which was designed strictly to, you know, race in the dirt. This is the street version. So right off the bat, it's not a great beginner bike just because it is not any one particular style. It's kind of trying to do its own thing. And B, is a really powerful bike. But you know, after having had my bike, my BMW for, it was only about 2.5 months, I gained, you know, a sufficient amount of skills that I was comfortable in moving up to this, and I'll just tell you flat out, it's exactly what people describe it as, which is a fantastic bike, and then some. I find that the reviews that I've seen don't quite capture just how much fun this bike is in the in the streets. It's such a great city bike. It is obviously more than capable of keeping up on the highway. It's actually a joy to ride on the highway because you really get to open it up, and when you lay on that throttle, you really you can't help but have a smile on your face. When I picked it up and I rode it home. I went to Mineola Moto. Just in Long Island, the beginning part of Long Island. And riding home, I'm a very reserved person, but I found myself kind of screaming on the way home. It's just, you know, it gets you moving, and it puts a real feeling in your chest. That's if you haven't, you know, ridden a fast motorcycle before, it's absolutely fantastic. So, you know, I guess right off the bat, my first impression is it's very nimble, and it's I feel that it's probably unique to this style of bike, whatever this is, that, you know, it has the power that you would expect from one of those big cruisers, one of those baggers, but without sacrificing any of the handling. It's just amazing. You know, you once you figure out how the bike actually leans, which is slightly different because something that I found out a day or two in was that the gas is not actually where it traditionally is, which is in that big tank in the front. It's actually under the seat. So I did struggle with, especially like on this day and the day after. I was trying to counter steer, and the bike just wasn't leaning in the way that you'd expect it to. And I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out if it was just the nature of a bigger bike or if it was just this bike in particular. But I realized that all the weight's under you. It's under your butt, so it's not counter steering like normal isn't gonna quite tip the bike in. But as soon as you figure that out and you shift your body a little bit and you lean your butt in, the whole bike turns in, and it's just a real joy because what that translates to is it requires you to make the full move and the full motion first, and the bike kind of follows your lead. And you can say that about any bike, but it's just slightly different, a little more exaggerated with this bike. And once you get into it, and once you trust that the bike isn't going to tip over and that it will follow you, turning is a real joy. And I just really can't wait to take this thing out into the twisties, get out of the city and find some real curvy roads to rip around. The second thing that I noticed that I thought was maybe not unique but just different, again, I'm coming from a 300cc bike that I guess you could classify it as a sport-ish bike, sport naked, I don't know. But when shifting up, if you just kind of blip the clutch, I was used to shifting up very quickly, just kind of banging on the clutch and shifting up at the same time, and everything kind of just like fell into place, and that was that. This bike isn't so much so. You kind of really need to make crisp and decisive motions. So pull the clutch in, shift up, and then slowly, not too slowly, but just slower than I would assume a sports bike or any race bike or something. Kind of release the clutch gradually. I know there have been a lot of complaints about this bike because it's so expensive and it does not come with a quick shifter. I have never used a quick shifter, nor would I really want to. I kind of like the whole idea of using the clutch. But that brings me to my next point, which is this bike isn't designed to really shift quickly. I feel that all movements on this bike are supposed to be deliberate. It really is a cruiser, but a zippy one at that. So a few times I tried to shift up real quick and the bike kind of stuttered and made it very clear that it doesn't like that. So readjusting kind of how I approach shifting and really downshifting and rev matching too. Everything is just slightly more exaggerated than it needs to be on, I suppose, a more technical bike. Now that might be a well-known fact among veteran motorcyclists, but it was new to me and just something I thought to know. The last thing, the third thing that I would like to share is unfortunately not a positive one, but the fuel efficiency, fuel economy, the mileage for this bike is absolutely terrible. And you know what? It's really not a surprise, being that it's a V-twin. It's just a lot of power being unleashed with every twist of the throttle. It's kind of the same feeling you get when you get in like a Hummer or a Jeep. Like you just kind of know that you're not going to be getting 50 miles, 100 miles to the gallon. You're probably going to be getting more like 20. And granted, the guys at Indian explained that during the break-in period, the first 500 miles, fuel economy is exponentially worse than it will be once it breaks in. But it still doesn't give me a lot of hope because I was pulling maybe 28 miles per gallon. It's a 3.2 gallon tank, and by the time I was down to like 10% of that, I had pulled maybe like 60 miles, like low 60s. So that was it was a bit of a shock to me. But that's not to say it's not worth it. I guess I'm thinking like a true American right now. Like it's that the ride is definitely well worth the terrible gas mileage. The amount of fun you get from every time you sit on this bike is well worth the extra $10 2-3 times a week. Not really complaining. I mean, I'd be very happy if India could figure out some way to get it to 50 miles a gallon. I'd be a very happy man. But you know what? I'll take it. For the amount of relief and joy this thing brings me, it is all good. To sum up this video of did this bike meet my expectations? Am I happy with my purchase? It is a resounding yes for me. I don't have, and again, I'm only a week in, not even, to riding this, but every day has been an absolute joy. I can't think of a single complaint so far. I don't think there's much this bike can't do. Can handle the highway, can handle city streets, definitely will be fun on the twisties, and I will get that little dose of kind of cornering that I wanted to get from my G310R, but I'll also be able to cruise and enjoy the highways. So I mean, I'm just overall so ecstatic to get on this bike, and at least thus far I have no complaints. Again, I'm gonna shoot a more in-depth video once I'm a little more familiar with this ride and how it goes. But overall, I would definitely say that this was a great purchase, and I hope to keep this bike for as long as I can. So thanks for tuning in again, guys. I'll shoot another video and hopefully have it up within the month. I'm going to take a few weeks and just kind of enjoy this. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.